How's it going, everyone? I am back with another video, different type of video than what I usually make. Um, Basically, in this one, I'm going to be talking about the first two games we had against the Knicks and kind of just giving my thoughts, my interpretations, just my thoughts on the rest of the series moving forward. Are we done? You know, how I see the rest of the series playing out, all that good stuff. So basically, this series has gone like I don't think anyone has expected. Uh, Literally everyone expected us to beat the Knicks. I mean, Stephen A. Smith and Brian Windhorst said it best on ESPN, I think, on First Take. Stephen A. Smith, a Knicks fan, said that if the Knicks, he doesn't know anyone that knows basketball that thinks the Knicks can win more than one game in this series. And Brian Windhorst said that if the Knicks force this to six, they should throw a celebration. Well, not only are they going to force it to six, they have won the first two games. And technically they can sweep us. I don't even want to know what I would do if that happened. I don't think it will. Spoiler alert. But yeah, series has gone like no one's expected to. The first three quarters have gone in both games. I think have gone similar to how everyone expected it to. The Celtics are up big, up 20 both games, and then the Knicks in the fourth quarter just storm back. The Celtics can't make a shot to save their lives. It feels like defensively they're not, playing as good as they were the first three quarters, and the Knicks ended up winning both games. First one went to overtime, which we probably got a little lucky that it even went to OT because Brunson, I am shocked that that shot did not go in. And then obviously game two on Wednesday, Tatum went to take the fader to win the game, and Bridges swatted him. Second game in a row, Bridges has made the game-winning defensive play to seal it for the Knicks. And yeah, no one expected the Celtics to be down 0-2 the first two games. It's been a very, very strange series. No one expected this. So I guess good way or a good place to start is I'll just go into game one and game two and kind of just again, obviously two separate games, so I'll break down my interpretations of the games. So yeah, basically, like I said earlier, first three quarters went how I think most people expected it to. Celtics were up not 30, 20 in the third quarter. And then at the end of the third quarter, the Knicks started to go on a bit of a run. And that's really when we started to have some trouble. Anunoby had a really good game. He was really pissing me off. He just pisses me off in general as a Celtics fan. Josh Hart had a really consistent game. He only scored 14, but he had 13 boards. Bridges had 51 minutes. But again, I mentioned he had that game sealing play. Brunson had 29. And then, those are really the only guys Tibbs plays. McBride actually played good in the limited minutes he got. Well, 19's, a decent amount. Then Mitchell Robinson, who's been really good this series, just from the stat line, you wouldn't see that, but he's been pretty good this series. Tatum, so Tatum was an issue in this game. Actually, before I get into that, I'll just say obviously the big issue this game was kind of something that we have a tendency to do when we're up big, especially under Joe Mazzulla. When we're up big, a lot of the time we take our foot off the gas and we settle in and we just take stupid shots a lot of the time. A lot of way, way, way too many threes. We had 65 threes in this game, and we missed 40 or we missed 45. I think we had 63. Yeah, we missed 45. We had 63 point attempts. So that's usually a problem. And we had 97 shots overall. So, I mean, that's more than half of our shots. That's nearly 2/3 of our shots being 3-pointers. That's a bit crazy there. Obviously we live by the three, die by the three. We always jack up threes. We lead the league in attempts every year under Mazzulla. Earliest Steph can return game 6. Oh boy, that's not too good. That's not good news for the Warriors. Oh boy. What was I just saying? Just got sidetracked to that notification I just got. Yes, the 3 pointers. I mean, a lot of the time, what I've noticed when we have a big lead, even if we blow it, and when I say blow the lead, that I don't necessarily mean we lose the game. I mean, usually what happens, the opponent significantly cuts into the lead, and I feel like more than not, we end up winning the game anyway. But obviously, that wasn't the case this game. This was just such a frustrating game. I mean, when the Knicks were coming back, we're just settling. Tatum specifically, as I mentioned, is taking side set 3 pointers. He's Brunson on him, who he has a pretty significant height advantage. He's settling for side step 3 pointers. All we did was take threes. We had one shot in the third quarter that was not a three, and if I remember right, Horford just got a breakaway and he was just wide open and just slammed it down. I'm pretty sure that gave us our 20-point lead. Besides that, every single shot attempt was a 3-pointer in the third quarter. Oh, actually, what Knicks Celtics odd shift? Okay, I was gonna mention that later, but I'll have to check the shift when I get to that. We're actually obviously we're down 0-2 and we're still favored to win the series. I'm a bit surprised by that. But again, I'll talk about that in a bit later here. Yeah, obviously that's a problem. And even when we have a big lead and we settle for threes, we don't completely abandon driving to the paint. It feels like normally this game we did. That's all we did was just take threes. And then when the Knicks were up 6 in the fourth quarter, we started driving. And what happened? We went on a 7-0 run. Derek White hit a three. We had a 1 point lead. And that's what happens when Jaylen Brown talks about it in his post game press conference after this game. When the team has momentum like the Knicks, they're making a run in the fourth quarter, cutting significantly into the lead we had. A good way to stop their momentum is driving to the paint, getting fouled, going to the free throw line. That literally stops the game. And um, when you drive, maybe you make a shot, and then maybe the 3 pointers are open more naturally. Maybe the Knicks then help, the three's more open. Basically, he said something along the lines of when you make twos, maybe the threes get easier. But we didn't do that. All we did was just take threes. I mean, even at the end of the game, Tatum has Mitchell Robinson on him, who Mitchell Robinson actually is defending him well. At least in recent Celtics Knicks games, and he takes a side set 3-pointer again. Like, bro. At least it was, I guess actually now that I'm thinking about it and saying it out loud, it was a similar scenario game 2, but Tatum drove, and obviously that was a disaster for us. But yeah, just too many 3-pointers. At the end of this game, I had zero concern whatsoever. I really thought, and again, I don't want to completely discredit the Knicks. They made the comeback, but I thought we heavily beat ourselves by just taking stupid threes and just completely abandoning the 2-point game, which again, normally we don't completely abandon it when we start settling for threes. We at least go to it a decent amount. This game, we basically just completely abandoned it. And I will say, I mean, a lot of them were contested, fairly contested, but it's shots we make, if not more than not, a decent amount of the time. So we are missing them. We had a couple open ones I felt we missed. So I'm like, I have very little concern. Zero, I think that, we're going to lose the series. I think we'll be fine. We'll attack the paint. Game 2 will be perfectly fine. You just look at the stat line, you'll think Tatum played great. Believe it was 4 of 15 from 3. Brown was 1 of 10, but his one was in overtime. That was a big one. Actually, Porzingis actually only gets the other guys here. Derek White, I thought Derek White played good, but he didn't shoot very well. Holiday, I thought had one of the better games as a defensive starter, or as a starter. I mean, here's another problem. An example. I believe it was White missed a 3. Holiday gets the board, and within 1 second, and he was sort of open, so I guess I can see why he just put up a 3, and we bricked it. Like, bro, come on, Celtics. Horford had a rough game, at least offensively. He's been kind of getting abused by Towns. Pritchard, I would like to see more of in this series. Especially game 2, he hit some shots in the fourth quarter where no one else could, and we took him out early. But Porzingis, this is a concern for me. Actually, I'll recap the first 2 games, and then I wrote some positives and negatives down on the series in general I'll talk about. But Porzingis is seriously starting to concern me with whatever the hell this illness is he has. Yeah, you just look at the stats here, and again, well, that was another thing. People were saying the Knicks are going to shoot that 40 from the free throw line, but again, the counter argument is, well, we're not going to shoot that 40 from three. We just make a few more threes, and that negates that free throw. Poor performance from the Knicks, and a decent amount of them we intentionally fouled Mitchell Robinson. We hack-a-shacked him, and he had a brutal air ball game two from the free throw line. Jesus, that was bad. We were getting a good amount of boards, so that was a positive for us. Um, Turnovers, the Knicks only had one less, but it felt like we had, too many turnovers. But yeah, I was not too concerned after this game, really, if at all. Then game two, oh, sorry, that's game four. What the hell is game two here? Here we go. Okay, so this was even worse than game one, in my opinion, because this game, I guess you can say it was a must win. Obviously, not mathematically, it isn't, but it's getting close to a must win. You don't want to go down 0-2 going on the road. And we came out and, like I said, we attacked the paint a lot more. We took advantage of mismatches, and we had a few bad threes, but most of them weren't forced, like game one, at least until the fourth quarter. I'm like, okay, I like our game plan. And again, we're up 20. We had a big run in the third quarter, and we're up 20. We're up 16 in the fourth. The Knicks the Knicks made a bit of a run with at the end of the third quarter, two and a half minutes left. Missoula took a timeout with 50 seconds left. I'm like, okay, well, that's a little odd to use a time. First of all, obviously, Joe Missoula hates using timeouts. He never uses them, really, unless he, has to. And especially to use one with, 50 seconds left in the third quarter, he might as well just, finish the quarter there. So that was a bit of a surprising timeout. But I don't think we scored after that, but I don't think the Knicks did either in the third quarter. Maybe we had a basket, I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure the Knicks didn't score after that timeout Joe took at the last minute of the third quarter. There's 57 seconds left, I believe. And yeah, the fourth quarter came on, and the first four-ish minutes were playing solid. Porzingis had a big putback and one. He had a three-pointer, then he had a two-pointer. I'm like, here we go. We had to take him out because of his illness. He was gassed. Pritchard I think he had two threes. Those were big threes. And then from I believe it was the 8-minute, 40-second mark of the fourth quarter, up until Tatum's dunk with, 18 seconds left, something like that, we had not one made field goal. So we went over 8 minutes, nearly 9 minutes, without scoring a field goal in the fourth quarter. That usually is a recipe for disaster, and that's a problem, I would say. And the Knicks, and again, this is, okay, I'll get to the positive and negative list here, but I heard I was watching a podcast last night, and they said it best that what is really frustrating is we don't play the same way in the fourth quarter. We do the same, or the first three quarters. Specifically this game, we get to the paint consistently. The fourth quarter, we didn't, jack up as many threes as game one, and we, attacked the paint some more, a decent amount. But we just, I don't know, it just felt like I don't know how to describe it. I just did not feel good about the way the fourth quarter was going. The Knicks, first of all, I knew we were probably going to be in trouble when Bridges, who was just having a miserable game the first three quarters, he couldn't miss in the fourth quarter. I think he missed one basket. He went on a run. By the way, and Brunson is on the bench for the first 4.5 minutes of this run. So obviously when Brunson, the best player, is off the bench, you're going to want to capitalize. That's pretty obvious, right? We couldn't. Not only did we not capitalize, the Knicks went on a run and they cut into the lead. And then Brunson, the clutch time player of the year, comes in. Well, that's a problem. Knicks had momentum, and the best crunch time player of the year, at least, he got the award for it, is coming back into the game. And they just came back down 20, so they know they're more than capable of doing it. And a lot of talk about we forced threes in the fourth quarter. Okay, and actually, let me just preface, I didn't watch the game back. But from my perspective, I don't feel that we forced threes in this game. I mean, game one we absolutely did in the fourth quarter. This game, I really don't. Maybe we had one bad one I remember that was a bit forced. Besides that, I I feel like the threes that we missed in the fourth quarter were pretty open, like or shots we normally hit, maybe light contests. We just missed them. So I'm not. I'm fine with our shot selection, for the threes in the fourth quarter. And again, we attacked the paint some more, but it just felt like we were not playing with the same intensity the first three quarters. I will say, even the Porzingis to start the fourth quarter, his putback to get an and one, I think that was a forced three. I forget who shot it. I want to say it was either Tatum or White. I think it was one of those two, but I'm not 100% sure on that. Yeah, Knicks went on a run. They had a lead, and Joe took a timeout, and he did the play where Tatum goes right up the middle. He gets the ball in the backcourt. He loves drawing up that play. It works a good amount of the time. Knicks took a timeout. They inbounded it. A few seconds run off the clock. Brunson gets fouled by Holiday. Makes both his free throws. And this is another thing people are slandering Joe for. Didn't take the timeout with 12 seconds left. Just let the guys play, and it was a disaster. And again, Tatum went to take a fader. There was like three guys on him, including Bridges. He blocked it, got it, just tossed it up the court, and time ran off the clock, and the Knicks won the game for the second night in a row from a Mikal Bridges defensive game-winning play. And Tatum this game was absolutely awful. He had 9 points in the 9 points in the entire game until that dunk. He got up to 11. I will say he did get a decent amount of rebounds. It's like the one positive from him this game. But he's been off the series. And people were saying it's his wrist. I don't know, maybe it is. But I don't think so, because he was perfectly fine against the Magic. If anything, he shot better after his wrist injury against the Magic. He's had 30 plus in 3 straight games, I believe. So I don't know if it's his wrist. I just think, I don't know if it's the way the Knicks are guarding him. He's just missing shots he normally makes, a combination. He's just on a cold streak. I don't know what the hell it is. But Hart had a really good game. He had a couple second chance rebound, or that, Jesus, I can't talk. The Knicks had a couple second chance points from a rebound from Josh Hart that he should not have got. He swooped in there and just wanted it more than who was under the rim, and forced some second chance points. Their comeback started when Josh Hart hit a three. He shot well. I want to say he shot like 9 of 15 from the field or something like that. He had 23 points. He had a really good game. Anunoby, obviously, at least scoring wise, not have a good game. The first session of the game, he makes this a three with as the shot clock expires. I'm like, yep, here we go. It's going to be one of these games. And they ended up taking that off the boards. The ball was still in his hands when the shot clock expired. It was a very slow start for both teams. Cat had a pretty good game in the second quarter. He got a good amount of his points. He had 17 boards too. As I mentioned earlier, I was talking about game one, he kind of just abused Horford. Bridges, again, he was playing awful for 3 quarters, and in the fourth quarter, he just completely flipped the switch. Brunson was off this game. He had a clutch shot late, I think maybe 2 clutch shots late. Then obviously the 2 free throws were clutch, but he was a bit off this game. Mitchell Robinson played pretty solid too. And again, you won't see that just from the stat line, but he played pretty solid. And McBride, not expecting too much out of him, I don't think, but he did what he did, I think, or he did what he could, I think. To mention Tatum, pedestrian game. Well, actually, he had 13 points. I could have sworn he had 9 points before that dunk. Oh, no. Okay, I remember. He had 9 points. He got fouled, made both his free throws, and then that dunk put him at. So obviously, after the 2 free throws, he's at 11. Then that dunk put him at 13. Okay, now I remember. Jaylen Brown, I thought, played good. I forget his exact percentage, but I don't think he shot too well from 3. But when he was getting to the paint, he was pretty efficient this game. I felt like Horford had a pretty bad game, unfortunately. Horford's my favorite player. I love Big Al. Derek White, I thought, played a good game, but he was one of the guys that missed some threes, and friggin' Reggie Miller is I know Reggie Miller gets shit on by a lot of the not just the Celtics, but the NBA fan base, or NBA fan base is just NBA fans in general. I actually like Reggie Miller, but I'm going to say he's kind of annoying me this series. He's going to complete hard on for the Knicks this entire series. I don't know why. Especially because he's a friggin', he's for the Pacers. He played for the Pacers. I don't know why he's a Knicks guy this series. But he was saying, "Oh, here's the problem: they're forcing up threes." And again, I disagree with that. I don't feel like we forced them up. I feel like they were open. We just set flat out missed most of them. But anyway, uh, Drew Holiday, I thought, you know, at the end of the game, Brunson got him on that move. Holiday had to foul him. Uh, Holiday played a typical Holiday game. I think Pritchard only had 9 points, but I think six of them were in the fourth quarter off threes. I know he at least made one three, and then we took him out too early. I would have liked to have seen him play a bit more. I want Pritchard moving forward the series to play some more minutes. Uh, Cornette, usual Cornette performance. And then again, Porzingis. I mentioned that run he had at the start of the fourth quarter. Those were all 8 of his freaking points, I believe. Um, but yeah, the stats here. Again, this is another concerning thing. We missed 45 threes. That's just so absurd saying that out loud. In game one, and we missed 30 this game. We only shot 25%. Shot 36% in overall. But I guess the positive is we took more twos than threes, so that's a good sign. Took 54 twos and 43s. Yeah, free throws, both teams, pretty good percentage there. Well, actually, I believe the 2 free throws missed from the Knicks were Mitchell Robinson alone. Again, we outdid them on the boards a bit. Well, I guess defensively they got one more. That is one thing I noticed when I bet, I don't know this for a fact, but I bet a lot of those defensive boards the Knicks are getting probably in game one too, are in the fourth quarter when we throw up a three and it's just a one and done. We don't get a second chance opportunity off of an offensive rebound. The Knicks, we just put it up and the Knicks get the board. That's where I feel like a lot of the defensive boards are coming from. And yeah, so those are those 2 games there. So yeah, just in general, some positives, negatives to the Celtics moving forward. I guess we'll start with the negatives and with the positives. Obviously, being down 0-2, we have less leeway in the series. We can only afford to lose one more game. Obviously, you don't want to, ideally, you don't want to lose one more game. You just want to win 4 straight. But obviously, the Knicks up 2-0 have some more leeway in them. Brunson, I'm actually pretty nervous for this one. Brunson is bound to have a monster game sooner rather than later, I would imagine. And I mean, like a 30, 35, 40-point game, maybe even 40 plus, something like that. As I mentioned, game 2 he was off shooting. Then game 1 he had 29, but I feel like we contained him fairly well most of the game still. But he's bound, I'm sure, to have a big game sometime. Porzingis, as I mentioned, his illness. So this is really just concerning me, and it's just frustrating me. If Porzingis was healthy, I don't think the Knicks have a shot in hell in this series. And now, the reason I picked this in 5 was because I assumed Porzingis would be good to go this series. Even without him, I probably would have picked this in 5 anyway. And, even with him, with his illness, barely playing, we still should be up 2-0. It's inexcusable to blow a 20-point lead, especially in back-to-back games, and especially at home. And especially knowing game 2 is a critical game. But yeah, Porzingis, he can barely play. I mean, he played only in the first half game 1. He missed like a putback that he normally would make, and he didn't play the second half. Game 2 was announced he was playing. I figured he would start. He wasn't. I'm like, okay, maybe that's a bit surprising. And then Cornette came in before him. I'm like, all right, what the hell is going on here? But by the way, I love Luke Cornette, but especially this year, I think he had the best year of his career. He puts up some pretty quality minutes for us. But Porzingis obviously starts over him. So I'm like, all right, if he's coming off the bench, surely he'll be, the next off the bench to the center, right? And then it'll be Cornette. Maybe it'll get a couple minutes in the game. Nope, it was Cornette, then Porzingis. So I'm like, what is going on here? I don't think he scored anything in the first half. He only played a couple minutes. Then he had that good run at the end of the fourth quarter, or at the start of the fourth quarter, where that right there is like the typical production Porzingis gives us. So it's like if we can get that consistently, he plays, the minutes he normally does the series, I don't think the Knicks have a chance in hell, as I mentioned earlier. Excuse me here. But it unfortunately doesn't look like that's the case. Like, what the hell is this friggin' illness he has? he missed a good amount of time earlier in the season, and now Missoula said he's been fighting it even since he's been back, but he looked fine. Obviously, he didn't play great in the Orlando series. Maybe that's why. But obviously, in the Magic were a really good defensive team, and they played us tight defensively for the majority of that series. Maybe I'm sure that's why too, of course. But maybe that's why he didn't play that good. But at least he was out there, giving us his usual minutes. I feel like maybe a bit less, but I think he was giving us his usual minutes if I remember right from that series. But he can barely play. We saw the production he had went on an 8-0 run, I believe, or not an 8-0 run. I think the Knicks scored, but I think he scored 8 points in a very short time span at the beginning of the fourth quarter. He had the putback dunk, got an and one, had a 2-pointer, and then he had a 3-pointer. So that that right there, and then we had to take him out. I just really wish Porzingis could get healthy. And, obviously I'm sure he's trying. He seems really bummed out that, he can't be there and he's just not himself right now. But I just wish he was healthy because I feel strongly that the Knicks would have very little chance in this series. And, again, as I mentioned, I love Al Horford, but with Porzingis, I just feel strongly that we would be up 2-0. And again, even without him, we should be inexcusable to blow a 20-point lead in general, but especially back-to-backs. I just went on that little rant earlier. Home court. All right, so obviously the first two games were in Boston, so now obviously the Knicks have home court advantage. So we need to win these next two to even it out and take back home court advantage. Now that I'm thinking about that, I'll make a note here and I'll just get to it with the let me go over the positives. What's this note I have? Oh yeah, I mentioned us settling. Hopefully that doesn't happen, but it's 2 games in a row now. We have a tendency to do that. The shot selection, jacking up threes, and confidence. The next confidence has to be sky high right now. The players aren't oblivious to the noise. I'm sure they know that no one expected them to win the series. No one gave them a chance in hell. And they're up 2-0 right now at home. Technically, they can put the series away these next 2 games. And again, spoiler alert, but I don't think they'll be doing that. Except I thought for sure we were going to win the first 2 games, so who the hell knows at this point? But yeah, they have confidence. And the thing is, they know they can get off to a bad start and, be down as much as 20, and they can still come back in just a quarter. The Celtics, on the other hand, have to have the mental mentality of, all right, the mental mentality, that was good phrasing, have to have the mentality that, all right, we're up 20, but, they can come back and maybe we start missing some shots and it's like, all right, our morale's can go down. It's like, here we go again. And mentally, we're going to be affected. We have to be affected mentally, at least to some extent, being, shooting so poorly as we have in the fourth quarter, in the series in general, but especially from 3, and specifically in the fourth quarter. So yeah, the Knicks just can get off to a bad start. They know they can come back. The Celtics, it's like, all right, we're up 20, but they can come back if we start shooting poorly and they make a run. It's like, here we go again. That's going to affect them mentally, at least to some extent, I would think. Moving over to the positives here, our 3-point percentage. Now, okay, so obviously our 3-point percentage as it is now is a negative, but I'm going to have to imagine it's going to go up at some point. And if, again, as poorly as this is a positive, as poorly as we have shot, we lost game 1 by 3 and lost game 2 by 1. So we've lost the first 2 games by a combined 4 points, shooting 25% from 3. We're 25 of 100 in the series, and we've lost by 4 combined points. So that's a positive. You can counter argue that and say, well, the Knicks haven't shot too well either. The Knicks have, of course, had some open shots they've missed, or lightly contested shots that they normally make. But I feel that we've played fairly good defense the majority of the series, and them missing shots is heavily contributed to our defense. I feel we've missed more open shots or shots we normally make than the Knicks have this series. But my point is, balancing the scales, I think we're still going to launch a good amount of threes. They're going to have to go in at some point. We're going to have to go on a hot streak. It has to happen at some point, right? Maybe the Magic, maybe they laid out a formula blueprint to, contain our three-pointers. We struggled from three in that series until Paul went out in game 5, and we went berserk from three. Besides that, we struggled to consistently find a three-point group. Maybe the Knicks are, following something similar. But again, a good amount of them were open. I think I saw a stat that Steve and I sensed it on First Take yesterday. Something along the lines of, I think it was 48 of the 100 threes we've attempted were either like open, wide open, or like slightly contested. In other words, shots we should make and we normally make, and we've missed. Or sorry, out of the 48 threes we missed out of. So we taken 100 total. We missed out of those 100 total threes. We've missed 75 of them. Out of those 75 misses, 48 of them were either open, wide open, or lightly contested, or contested to the point where we still make them usually. Something like that was the stat. And yeah, and we still, again, have barely lost. We're going to have to start making those threes, I would imagine. That's going to be a complete game changer, especially if we get on a hot streak. Our confidence is going to have to shoot back up. So that's a positive for us. Better game 2 game plan than game 1. Game 1, as I mentioned, we just forced up 3 after we were up 20, refused to take advantage of our mismatches. We just played stupid basketball. Simple as that. We just completely abandoned the 2-point game for the most part, which, again, we normally, or maybe not normally, we do that a decent amount of time under Joe Mazzulla, and we have a big lead, but we don't completely abandon the 2. We did game 1. But game 2, we drove a lot more. We had more 2s than 3s. And at least in the fourth quarter, even though we had a disastrous offensive performance, at least we attempted some 2s. So we're improving. Even if technically you want to go from a marginal loss standpoint, we lost by 3, we only lost by 1 game 2. So if the trajectory keeps going up, we should start winning, hopefully, right? Now, obviously, you can say that the Knicks are going to start improving too, so that can be counter-argued, but we had a better game 2 game plan. So, maybe we have a better game plan for game 3, and that trajectory keeps going forward. Technically, we're not underdogs from a betting perspective, because I think, actually, let me check the odd shifts. As I was starting to record this like a half hour ago, we were still the favorites in the series, even though we're down 0-2. Let me see if the odds shifted. Let me see here. Okay. NBA, let's see. Series markets. Okay, so the Celtics are still favored, very slight favorite. They're minus 120. The Knicks are plus 100. So we're still favored, but not by much, obviously. Basically that's close to like a 50-50. I think that's probably like a 55-45 if you do the math there. Just off the top of my head with the just from a betting perspective for who's going to win the series. We're actually a 5.5 point. I think it started off as 5, and it's upped itself to 5.5 point favorite for the line for tomorrow's game. But anyway, my point is, we're down 0-2. We're acting like the underdogs. At least the players are. Porzingis talked about how the pressure's off because we were expected to win the first 2 games. Now the Knicks are going to be expected to win, so we're just going to, kind of play freely. A lot of people are shitting on him for that. Yes, I understand, because we shouldn't be the underdogs because we're a better team than the Knicks. We've just blown it 2 games in a row. And we basically are title or bust this season. So I understand people are shitting on him for that, but I understand what he's saying. And it seems like we play better as the underdogs in games or, situations we're expected to lose. For example, 2022, we blew game 5 at home to the Bucks in the semis. Game 6 in Milwaukee, we blew it. Our chance to win the series is over, especially, Smart and Brown fighting for the free throw. Bobby Portis got the putback. Smart got stripped. And then he gets stripped again the last couple seconds of the game, and Tatum was open for a 3 to tie the game. So we blew it. We choked bad that game. No one, or I shouldn't say no one, but most people expected us to lose game 6. Tatum went off. We won. We won game 7. Excuse me. 2023, Joe Mazzulla's first year as the head coach, down 3-2 against the Sixers, blew our chance to take a 3-2 lead game 5. We're on the road. and we ended up winning. Tatum played arguably the worst game of his career until the last couple minutes. He had a three in the corner, then just went off from there. We won Game 7 thanks to Tatum's 51, broke Curry's Game 7 scoring record. He set Game 7 against the Kings in the first round that year too. So what did Curry have the record for like a week and a half, something like that. Um, what's another one? Um, well, I guess those are the two main examples. I feel like I'm blanking on one. Actually, that year too, we're down 3-0 to the Heat in the conference finals. Everyone's expecting us to get swept, and we ended up winning 3 games in a row. And I still think we win Game 7 if Tatum doesn't twist his ankle. I know it's a what if, and I know the Heat were missing Hero too that whole series. Actually, Game 1 on, they were missing him. I think he came back in the finals, I want to say. But yeah, I think we would have Game 7 if Tatum didn't twist his ankle. But no one expected us to win that series, and we won 3 games in a row to force Game 7. And the flip end, everyone was expecting us to win Game 7, and we lost. We blew it. So yeah, those are a couple examples. My point is, the players seem to play better and embrace the mentality of the underdog, and we play better as underdogs. And I think now that it's been a couple years and people still think we're the better team, I strongly feel that. I don't even give a shit if we get swept. I still think we're the better team than the Knicks. Charles Barkley and Shaq talked about how Game 3 is a must-win for the Knicks. Now, obviously, you have 2 on a series. You would think Game 3 is a must-win for, the team trailing if they want to win the series. And, technically it is. You obviously don't want to go down 3-0. No team has ever come back from that, which, again, we would have if Tatum didn't twist his ankle Game 7, but that's okay. Just made the finals win that much more sweeter the next year. But yeah, Barkley and Shaq basically saying if you let Boston win Game 3, they're right back in the series. They should have won the first 2 games. They blew it. And they're going to maybe at the mental edge. Knicks chance to basically put a near dagger in our heart, go up 3-0. If the Celtics win Game 3, then they're going to have momentum, and the Knicks are going to be in serious trouble. Tatum has to have a better. I imagine Tatum is going to have to play better. It seems like whenever Tatum's in a shitty series, he turns it on. Especially from as abysmal he's been the first 2 games, specifically the second game. That was awful. You can probably make an argument that was the worst game of his career, Game 2. You have to imagine Tatum's performance is going to improve, and he's going to be a lot better. But yeah, what do I think what's going to happen the rest of the series? I'm still picking us to win. I am still picking us to win the series. Now, I think we'll win Game 3. I think we're gonna. If I had to make a little bonus prediction here, I think we're gonna get off to a red hot start Game 3. Maybe the 3 start falling. I think we're gonna get off to a hot start Game 3. I think we'll win Game 4 and Game 5. Game 6 is kind of the one I'm a bit questionable on because the Knicks really gonna lose 4 in a row after being up 2-0. But you know what? Fuck it. I'll predict it. I'll say we win 4 in a row. We did it, and obviously the regular season is completely different. You play teams in between, obviously, but we did it in the regular season. But obviously, if the Knicks are going to win one more game, I think it will be Game 6. Either that or Game 4, I feel like. I don't think they're going to win Game 3, but again, who knows? Because I thought for sure they weren't going to win Game 1, and I even more so thought they weren't going to win Game 2, and they did. So who the hell knows at this freaking point, for Christ's sake? But I am still rocking with us to win this series. Oh, and then oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. We're a better team on the road too. Tied the record for the most road wins this season, and the Knicks, on the other hand, have not been good at home, at least from a results standpoint in the playoffs this year. They're 1-3, 1-2 at home this season. Both the games, or this postseason, both the games the Pistons won in the series were in New York. And the Knicks were trailing most of Game 1, from what I remember right, in New York to the Pistons, and they went on a 21-0 run. If they don't go on that run, they probably lose the game. They're 0-3 at home. And then, but they did, so that's a hypothetical. But my point is, the Knicks have been shaky at home this postseason. And obviously it's a small sample size, but we've been better on the road than at home this postseason. We're embracing the underdog mentality. We seem to play better. Gonna have to imagine our 3-point percentage goes up. Hopefully Porzingis can get healthy, give us more increased minutes. Hopefully just his normal production if he in his limited minutes if he can only do limited minutes. And I'm just gonna have to imagine Tatum plays better. We shoot better. I feel pretty confident. Again, my big concerns are the Porzingis illness and Brunson's bound to have a big game. And then Cat probably is going to have a game where he goes off from 3-2. Those are the two guys I'm most concerned about. Bridges maybe a little bit, but obviously Cat and Brunson are the two, offensive guys that are most likely going to go off and have good games. Just some general thoughts. People are calling for Joe Mazzulla to be fired. I think that's absolutely ridiculous. Yes, obviously it's inexcusable to blow two back-to-back 20-point leads. Mazzulla's been shit on since he got hired. People say he's not a good coach. He's gotten carried by his talent. Yes, obviously it's helps to have as good of a team as we are if you're Joe Mazzulla. But I think, is Joe Mazzulla the best coach in NBA history? I don't think that, of course, but I think Joe Mazzulla is a pretty good coach, and the players have bought into him. I mean, our offense has been insane with him. We have a historic offense with him. Now, obviously, he has flaws like we get too heavy from three, extremely evident this series. It feels like he struggles to adjust sometimes. Obviously, his no timeout philosophy, just play through it, that backfires. Everyone's ripping him for not calling a timeout at the end of the game there. I would have preferred if we had called a timeout at the end of the game to drop a play instead of just letting them play through it, because A, that would have saved a few seconds from dribbling the ball off the court, and B, you could have drawn something up instead of just whatever the fuck that last play was. It's easy to second guess in hindsight now. But, the counter argument is it's something like that where Joe doesn't take time out. He just lets us play. It's worked a lot of the time, especially, defensively. Like I remember Game 6 against the Heat in the 2023 conference finals. The Heat went on an insane run. We were leading most of the game. And I think they had a lead, and the crowd was going berserk. The camera's like freaking shaking. And I'm like, all right, timeout. And we didn't call a timeout. I'm like, what the fuck are we doing? We're going to lose the game here. They have all the momentum. And maybe the Heat were a bit surprised at it. I think we went on a 7-0 run, and we got our lead back up to 6 after that. And so that's one example of it working. I know it's worked in the past. I'm sure it hasn't worked sometimes too. But yeah, I would have preferred for him to do it at the end of the game. Again, easy to second guess in hindsight, but we could have saved a few seconds from dribbling the ball off the court, could have drawn up a play. And yeah, but the counter argument is it's worked. I mean, we just saw the night before, Halliburton gets the free throw miss. He dribbles it out. I think he slipped even a bit, if I remember right. It just looked kind of like this is going nowhere. You're going to take a timeout. And Rick Carlisle just let him play through it. And Halliburton got the three-pointer to win the game. Another example, if it working, Game 1 against the Nets, 2022. And obviously this is when Joe was just an assistant. Ime was still our head coach. Durant misses the shot. We get the ball, and Ime doesn't take a timeout. He lets us play through it. Tatum gets the game winner. The game-winning layup as time expires. But yeah, some people are saying Mazzulla should be fired. They've been shitting on him since he's been the head coach. Yes, some of the things like getting 2-3 heavy bother me sometimes. And, sometimes the no timeout thing bothers me a bit, especially, when it doesn't work. Obviously, it's easy to get frustrated with. But I think Joe's a really good coach, and I don't think, regardless of what happens, he should be fired. I mean, he just won the title last year. In the year prior, we went to Game 7 of the conference finals, and obviously we should have beaten that Heat team, the 8th seed, especially with no hero. I know they went on an insane run to get to the finals. It's not like, it's the first round or anything. They beat the one-seeded Bucks and the Knicks, and ironically, the Knicks that second round too. But obviously, we should have beaten them. But he was thrown into being the head coach days before, like the preseason, or training camp, and under the circumstances, the whole Ime situation that got ugly. A lot of questions, uncertainty. The players are questioning it. Throughout the season, I remember when we were down 0-3 to the Heat. There was reports the players are still confused. We just we're questioning what happened the whole entire season. He didn't get to choose his staff. Because he was just thrown in, and we made it to Game 7 of the conference finals. He gets to choose his staff. The next year, we get 64 regular season wins, and we only lost 3 games the entire postseason. We set records with our offense, things like that. And then this year, we battled injuries. We still got 61 wins, and obviously we're in a hole now. But still, I think the fire Missoula talks are a little ridiculous, but obviously I can see why fans are frustrated with him. And, I definitely don't think he's done a phenomenal job coaching after we've gone up 20. I think he probably should have took a timeout when the Knicks were on a run, in the fourth quarter, but he didn't. That was an example of his no timeout philosophy not working. I think the fire Missoula talks are ridiculous. Especially if we come back to win this series, everyone's going to probably be praising Missoula again. So, yeah. But I'm still rocking with us to win this series. I'm just beyond shocked at where the series is at now, but I still have optimism and hope for us. Obviously, if we go down 3-0, I'm going to be seriously concerned. Even if we go down 3-0, as long as no one gets hurt, I still am not going to be 100% the series is over. But yeah, I am still fairly confident with us. Obviously, we much want to win Game 3. Even if we go down 3-0, like I just said, I'm not going to count us out, but 3-1 I think is still doable. Obviously, if we win these next 2, we're going to have all the momentum. But knowing the Celtics, this is a problem. If we win the next 2, we're going to have all the momentum. Up the Knicks blew their chance to win the series. Game 5 at home. Celtics should, wipe the floor with them. We'll come out flat. That has been a tendency in situations like that the past couple of years. So hopefully, obviously, that's not the case. Hopefully, we just win 4 in a row, make my life easier. Freaking Game 7, anything can happen. So who the hell knows? I guess the Knicks are also due for a road loss, road loss if we can hopefully get it back to the Garden too. So, in the postseason, they're due for a road loss, and obviously we're due for a home win, I guess, losing 2 in a row to this team. We just gotta keep doing what we're doing, just for the fourth quarter too. We just gotta not settle, which I thought we did a much better job in Game 2 in the fourth quarter, even though we missed a lot of threes. Most of them were open. Horford had a wide open one in the corner. Tatum had a wide open one in the corner. Both missed badly. Especially Horford's bounced up to the backboard. Almost, I think it went out of bounds. Either that or one of the Knicks got the rebound, I think. But yeah, we just got to start hitting shots. Just keep playing how we do the first 3 quarters in the fourth quarter. We just got to sustain our lead. We get the lead. We just got to sustain it. We're better than them. We've proven that. We just have blown it. We just got to sustain how we play the first 3 quarters, and I believe we'll be fine. I'm never going to count out my team. I'm going to always believe in my team no matter what, and I'm still rocking with us to win the series. Obviously, hit us in 5. Obviously, that's not going to happen now. That's what I meant to say. I had us in 5. Obviously, it's not going to happen now. So I'm going to have to up it to 6. It's going to be tough to win 4 in a row, but I believe in this team. We are down. Obviously, this is a completely different situation, but you're down 0-2 to the 8-seeded Bulls in 2017. And I know we caught a break with Rondo getting hurt, but we ended up winning 4 in a row to win that series. Obviously, again, a completely different situation now. I think we're definitely better than that team. That even though we got the 1 seed that year with Isaiah Thomas his last phenomenal year with us, that was an exceptional year. And obviously the Bulls are not nearly as good as this Knicks team. But yeah, I'm still picking us to win the series in 6. I think I got all my thoughts here. Let me just double check my notes. As soon as I end this video, I'll probably remember something, but I'll probably make a similar type of video after Game 3 or 4, something like that. But yeah, I got one of my buddies, Colby, shout out if you're watching this video, told me to make a recap video after each game, so maybe I'll do that. I don't know, I'm playing around with some ideas. Anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts, comments, all that good stuff. Still believe in my team, rocking with us to win it in 6, but obviously just shocked at where we're at now. But I always believe in the team. Here we go. Let's win 4 in a row. Hope you guys enjoyed. Take it easy. Thanks for tuning in, guys.